is comprised of the candidates for Public Service Commission. Those candidates are Commissioner Tim Echols, Michelle Miller, and we have Kelly Austin, but she is running late in the typical Atlanta traffic. So we're going to begin with Commissioner Echols. Would you please give us your 1 minute opening statement?
I'm Tim Echols, and I serve as your commissioner on the Public Service Commission. You know, what's most important to me is keeping Georgia's rates low. This attracts economic development, it brings businesses to our state, it provides jobs. Soon, June, you'll see a $4.60 decrease in Georgia Power's rates if you're a Georgia Power customer. This followed a $2 decrease in January. So I think all of us on the Public Service Commission are mindful of the impact that cheap energy prices has on our state. So I want to keep the rates low. I want to keep our energy mix diverse. I want to continue to attract businesses to our state. Thank you.
Michelle Miller, your opening statement, please.
Hi, my name is Michelle Miller. I'm a Houston County resident, mother of 2 beautiful kids. I am a member of Houston County GOP as well as the treasurer for the Middle Georgia Republican Women. My education, I'm a Penn State graduate in energy and sustainability policy. I won a scholarship through Penn State with the GREEN program to study renewable energy in Costa Rica, where I studied geothermal, solar, biofuel, wind, and biomass. I'm also certified in ArcGIS, which is transmission line siting, route optimization, metadata analysis, and I'm also certified as an ethical leader in business and policy from the NASPA Center for the Public Trust. I want to use my education and my experience to fight for Georgia shareholders. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and begin with questioning panelists, and when Ms. Austin comes in, we will kind of let her give her statement and proceed from there. You have 1 minute to respond to the question, and you will be notified when you have 30 seconds left. And when the bell rings, again, please stop speaking. The first question will be from Chip Lake.
Good evening. Last October, the Environmental Protection Agency came out with rules that govern how utility companies are to dispose of the ash that is generated at coal-fired power plants. As a result, many of the utility companies, including Georgia Power, have announced plans to close over the next 10 years, many of these plants. So the question I have for you this evening is, what do you see as the future of nuclear power versus coal-fired power plants here in Georgia, and what do you see as the proper role of the Public Service Commission?
Commissioner Echols will begin with you.
Well, the Obama administration is dismantling the coal industry in the United States. He's proceeded to bankrupt not only coal companies, but making it very difficult for states like Georgia to be able to maintain our diverse fuel mix. We have 5 remaining coal plants in Georgia, and this is not your grandfather's coal plant. These are coal plants with the latest pollution technology on them. It's my opinion we don't need to close any more of them. We need to make sure that we continue to maintain this diverse fuel mix. When it comes to nuclear power, we cannot run our grid on wind and solar alone. Renewable energy is certainly important, but nuclear power is critical to Georgia's future. So certainly, I want to continue to support nuclear power. I want to see these plants finished at Vogel, and we may need to build additional nuclear plants in the future.
Thank you. Ms. Miller?
You know, my heart was broken when President Obama passed, his agency passed that policy. But because the coal-fired plant are shutting down doesn't mean that everything is hopeless. I truly believe that energy and its technology is more dynamic than how much we pay for it and how much we consume it. It can actually increase job growth in your area. It can help your community generate more tax revenue, and it can help your community save money. If I was your public service commissioner, I would make sure, oh, she could stop. Oh, okay. If I was your public service commissioner, I would make sure that some of the technologies that we're using, for example, biomass, directly influence those areas. Because since we don't have those coal-fired plants anymore, we need an industry to be utilized there. And biomass is one of the areas that we can see potential growth here. As far as nuclear is concerned, yes, it is an energy efficient power type. Oh, she's
Thank you. Our second question is from Dr. Swin.
Good evening, candidates. Energy is crucial to Georgia, no question about it, and economic development is also. And nuclear power is here to stay. But nuclear power, the industry brings us some shared problems. Many Georgia citizens are concerned with Georgia Power's plans to expand nuclear power plants in the state, including a recent proposal for a new plant along the Chattahoochee River near Columbus. What are your thoughts? Wouldn't a new plant there endanger the already stressed Appalachian-Cola Flint River system?
Michelle?
Over a 10 and 30-year time period, our energy consumption has been roughly 1% and 1.4% respectively. So we do not have an urgent need to build new nuclear power plants. All of the nuclear power plants that we have constructed here in Georgia have had extremely high cost overruns. The first time, the EMCs had to eat those costs. The second time, Georgia consumers have to eat that cost based on the passing of SB 31. As far as building a new power plant, I do not believe we should do it. I think there are other alternatives out there like CHP, natural gas generation, and biomass that we should invest in, and it will be cheaper than what we're paying with nuclear power today.
Thank you.
One Vogtle nuclear reactor generates more power than all the solar in all of Georgia, and I'm certainly a fan of solar power. But as Georgia Power purchased 7,000 acres in Stewart County below Columbus on the Chattahoochee, they didn't ask permission of the Georgia Public Service Commission to do that. They're not required by law to do that. They are required by law to get the commission's approval to pursue a nuclear power plant, which means the 4 years that it would take to certify, to get the license, and the Public Service Commission will be voting on that within the next couple of months. It's my belief that the plant, that an additional 2 reactors would be good for Georgia, but I would rather have them at the existing Vogtle site. We have the room, we have public opinion with us in the Augusta-Aiken area. I'd like to see the reactors stay in that area. I don't want us to have to start all over in a new part of the state, winning over the public with nuclear power. Let's keep them over in the Augusta area.
Can I have a brief rebuttal?
No, I'm sorry. Our third question is from Tori White.
Good evening, candidates. Vogtle 3 and 4 are the first nuclear reactors to be built in the U.S. in decades. In 1977, Jimmy Carter prohibited nuclear fuel recycling. In the decades since, however, other countries have begun conducting successful programs to recycle the vast energy remaining in nuclear fuel after its initial use. The Department of Energy has a program that converts plutonium from nuclear weapons to fuel for commercial reactors at the Savannah River site. Though there's no program for addressing the spent nuclear fuel being stored on site at the 99 commercial reactors in the U.S. With the eyes of the U.S. on Georgia's 2 new reactors, should we use this opportunity to advocate for recycling spent nuclear fuel?
Commissioner Eccles?
Well, I've been a proponent of recycling nuclear waste since I've been in office. I've been to France and looked at the La Hague facility where the French do this safely. They do it well, and they do not leave spent fuel on their plant sites very long. And I think that's a good idea. The nuclear waste that we're holding at Plant Hatch and at Plant Vogtle, it has been there since that plant has been in operation. The federal government's charged our ratepayers $1 million, which is 1/10 of a penny, per kilowatt hour generated. It has been an enormous amount of money that the federal government has taken from our people, $1.2 billion. It's wrong. We finally sued and stopped it, but that doesn't solve the problem. We need to recycle the nuclear waste because it will complete the fuel cycle, and that's important for other states to want to build nuclear power. So I think we've got to take the opportunity now to move forward and advocate for recycling nuclear waste.
But should we recycle at what cost? You know, he mentioned earlier about Vogtle 3 and 4 generating a lot of power. It's only 1,012 megawatts. Matter of fact, we're paying $2.9 billion to power 500,000 homes. Only 500,000. The cost overruns is $2.34 billion. If you add that up and do a simple payback period, if Georgia's awarded cost is 4 cents per kilowatt hour, we're paying $7 almost per kilowatt hour for this nuclear power plant construction. We need to stop because we are putting our consumers at risk and we're making them vulnerable. It is time that we do efficient policies that delivers those technologies into the hands of the consumers and small to mid-sized businesses in Georgia. Thank you.
Thank you. Our fourth and final question for our Public Service Commission candidates will be from Chip Lake.
Thank you. Over the last decade, we have seen a massive shift from wired telephones to wireless and broadband internet service. What do you think the future of regulation is for these services, or should they remain unregulated? And I guess more specifically, would you ask the legislature to add wireless and broadband to the Georgia Public Service Commission's oversight authority, or would you prefer to leave it as it is now?
Michelle?
I actually would prefer that they leave it where it is now because the trend that's going across the United States right now is that many cities are producing gigacities. They're taking ownerships of their telecommunication infrastructure. They're providing open access. So companies that want to move in, the prices won't be as high because they don't have those upfront costs centered around construction, for example. Our communities are losing businesses all across Georgia because we have a telecommunication infrastructure problem. And it's time that we create a marketplace of solutions to educate our local officials so they understand how to make these deals and introduce them to the industry professionals that they can partner with. And that's an integral part of my campaign platform, and that's something that I've been advocating all along. Thank you.
Chairman Don Parsons, Cobb County's own representative, chairs the committee that gives oversight to this area. And it is my opinion that it needs to change, that we do need to change the definition of basic telephone service, and that will require legislative action. And the reason that I believe that we need to make this change is because the internet of today is yesterday's electricity. South Georgia waited in line for postal service, and it was a Georgia congressman that delivered that to them, Congressman Watson from Thomaston, Georgia. They waited in line for phone service, and they waited in line for electricity. Many years, decades, South Georgia, rural areas waited, and they're waiting in line for internet. Frankly, businesses don't want to locate in communities that have poor broadband. And it's important, I think, for the Public Service Commission to get engaged with this, but it requires legislative approval. Senator Gooch this summer will be traveling the state, talking to ratepayers, consumers, and I believe that we'll move closer to a solution.
The candidates will now have 90 seconds for their closing statements. Commissioner Eccles, we'll begin with you.
You know, it's important for us to keep electric rates low in Georgia. And I think the proof is in the pudding that the formula that we have in Georgia is working. Think about this. Our rates are 17% below the national average. We're seeing drops in our power bill as a result of fracking, frankly. And I wish we could take full credit for it at the commission, but fracking is providing a resurgence of manufacturing to the United States. It's one of the reasons our power bills are a third of what they are in Germany. And so we want to continue attracting manufacturing companies to Georgia. The Public Service Commission was proud to work with the legislature and the governor in eliminating the sales tax on manufacturing here in the state. This sends a powerful message to the business community. And these manufacturing jobs provide a working wage for those that are involved with this, and we need to continue to attract businesses to Georgia because it provides an opportunity for our citizens to enjoy the American dream, to continue to move up with good jobs. So I think this is very important. The energy diversity that we have in our state is leading the nation. We are now 4th in solar power, but you know, we've done solar different here. We haven't done it like California and Arizona. We put it in fields in South Georgia, improving the tax base in those communities. And I believe you're going to see the Public Service Commission continue to grow solar throughout rural parts of our state and having a diverse portfolio of energy. You're going to see nuclear power, you're going to see more natural gas with a Southern company acquiring Atlanta Gas Light, and you can continue to see our coal plants in operation. I think things are working here in Georgia. I'm proud to be a part of the Georgia Public Service Commission.
Thank you. Michelle?
You know, I feel that we have a foundational problem at PSC, and that is, in the last 20 years, we've never elected anyone that had education or experience in this specialized industry. When we're sitting down at the table, negotiating with the companies that we're regulating, they're fighting for their shareholders. We need someone to fight for our shareholders. And what I wanted to say is that, you know, Georgia is not only the 10th most expensive state, but we have not had any meaningful solutions that solve problems here in Georgia. It's time that we have a marketplace of solutions in Georgia so that we can solve some of the most urgent issues around Georgia. It's time that we start creating pilot programs so that we can have an impact on job growth and have an impact on economic development. It can work, but we don't have a vision. What we have today is a Public Service Commission that rubber stamps rate increases, right? But we don't do anything that's proactive. We don't have energy expos here. We don't have anything meaningful that's going to have a direct impact on our local communities. And that's what I will do. I'm going to use every drop of my education and experience to do so. In closing, what I want to say is this. I want you to know today that every single time you pay your taxes, every time you pay your utility bills, you are investing in the state of Georgia, you are investing in the Public Service Commission, and that makes you a shareholder. And as a shareholder, we're supposed to be your financial steward and investor. We're supposed to be your advocate, and we're supposed to be your educator. I need you to ask yourself a question, is that happening today? And do you want a different Public Service Commissioner? Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly Austin, another candidate for Public Service Commission, has arrived, so we are going to give her 3 minutes to give a combined opening and closing statement about her candidacy. We're ready when you are.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Kelly Pollard Austin. I am an 8th generation Georgian and a lifetime Republican. I apologize for running in so quickly after being caught in traffic. I was born in Hall County and grew up in Stevens County, but I've lived all over the state. My conservative values were instilled by my dad, a college professor and a Goldwater Republican. He taught me that you can't cheat economic principles and still achieve success. I believe in 3 conservative values: limited government, lower taxes, and more personal freedom. I live in Gwinnett with my 5 children, ages 12 through 17, and I have a strategic consulting firm focused on business and economic development. It's my desire to earn your trust and earn your vote in the Public Service Commission. My website is votekelly.com. That's vote, KELLIE.com. I'm running for the Public Service Commission because I believe that conservative principles matter. I believe in limited government, lower taxes, and more personal freedom. And I'm convinced that when we begin to make decisions based on conservative values and fiscal responsibility, that life is better for everyone. And if these 3 core conservative values of Reaganism will have that impact, although life is not fair, I do not believe that the answer is more government regulation in our lives. And I don't hold lots of fancy degrees, but I do know that 2 + 2 should equal 4 every time. And I believe that when rates and fees go up to pay for someone else, that it isn't right, it isn't free, and it isn't a free market economy. I believe the PSC must be made transparent and accountable to the voters. And I will make every vote recorded and searchable just as it is in our legislature. I'm proud to be the only fiscal conservative in the race. This is about government doing less, not doing more. It's about regulating less, not expanding to all emerging technology. And it's about making smart financial decisions for every family and every business in Georgia. Again, my name is Kelly Pollard Austin. cast me your vote. My website is votekelly.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Please give these candidates for Public Service Commission a warm round of applause.